Ready?
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Welcome to the June 10th, 2014 meeting of the Village Board. We have a number of guests tonight, and we're going to start with State Senator Terry Gibson.
Well, good evening, Mr. Mayor and Village Trustees. I appreciate so much letting me stop by tonight. I have to tell you, it's quite surreal being up here and looking at you there, knowing that I used to be there less than 2 years ago, really. I know you know that I understand what you're going through and what it's like to be on your side of the table. And I've tried to take what I learned from the Village of Rhinebeck experience as a trustee up to the State Senate. I am the ranking member on the Local Governments Committee in the State Senate. And that's given me a unique opportunity to really connect with a lot of different issues, with a lot of different local governments around the entire state, big ones, small ones, and I've really relied heavily on the experience I learned here, so thank you for that. I wanted to let you know that what we're doing is we are making an effort to get around to all the local governments in the 41st Senate District, which encompasses almost all the Dutchess and one half of Putnam County. And that is part of my role of being on that committee, is to check in with my local governments and report back to that committee. We are almost finally done with that tour. It takes a long time to get to all of them. And the legislative session has been even more tricky. I know we had to cancel a few times. I apologize. We just finished the session today. We kept right down here. I said, we're going to do it no matter what. We're coming, so we're here. I wanted just to first quickly just give you some budget updates. You may know this information, but if not, I want to make sure you know that your AIM funding for this year and this year's budget did remain the same at $14,382. We fought very hard for that. There are colleagues of ours in both the Senate and the Assembly that don't feel as strong as we do about making sure our local governments get funding from the state. We fought hard to get it increased. It stayed the same. We were happy with that. It's better than a decrease, but we're going to continue to fight to get more in years to come. Your Consolidated Highway Improvement Program CHIPS funding, that stayed the same at $54,911. Now, that's the same as last year, which was a record high level where there was a substantial increase that we received. So we're very happy about being able to maintain that same level. And we also were one of the many that were fighting hard because of the extreme winter that we had to get you additional CHIPS funding. So if you haven't received it, notice of it, you will be eligible for an additional $6,128 in CHIPS funding that is part of the winter recovery package. Just a few other highlights I wanted to mention in this year's budget that passed. There was an additional $500,000 put into the budget to help go towards research in Lyme disease, which is obviously a very big deal here in this part of Dutchess County. A lot of people, maybe even some of you there, have been bit by tick, and we fought hard to try to get the state to take the research of it more seriously. And we were also able to secure a substantial amount of funding for our local parks and historic areas within this region. Obviously, we have a tourism-based economy right here in the Village of Rhinebeck, and a lot of people come up to the various parks and historic sites, and we were able to secure some funding to make sure that those places can maintain them. One of the things that I have been rallying against since I was elected and trying to get support on is trying to deal with the issue of unfunded mandates. I experienced it when I was here on the village board. I remember when we passed a resolution against the whole issue of unfunded mandates. I was a part of that when I was on the village board here in Rhinebeck. One of the first things we did was we joined with one of our colleagues in the Assembly, Karen Lawler, to present a constitutional amendment that would prohibit New York State from ever handing down any additional unfunded mandates in the future. I mean, basically, what the state has been doing over the last 30 years is they've been coming up with ideas about programs, most of which are pretty good programs, things that we should probably be doing, but they haven't been coming up with the money to implement them. They've just basically been passing laws saying that you have to do this, figure out a way to pay for it. And that doesn't really make sense. If you think about it, whenever you as a family want to buy a new car or a new television or some appliance, You don't go across the street and ask your neighbor if they'll help you pay for it. You have to come up with money yourself. And that's what New York State's been doing, so we've been pushing against that. We have been asking our local governments to pass resolutions in support of this constitutional amendment. I don't believe that you've done that. If you haven't, we appreciate you passing the resolution just to help support us. In addition to that, we also presented something called the Good Neighbor Act. You might be interested in this. I know when I was on the board, I dealt with the planning and zoning department quite a bit. Throughout our district, we continue to have problems with banks that take over homes. They purchase homes, they take over the mortgage, homes go into foreclosure, and they are just not good neighbors. They don't take care of the property, they don't mow the grass, they don't fix the broken window panes, they don't paint the house. And there are a lot of loopholes in the state maintenance code that really allows them to get away with that. And one of the big problems you have is that you can't get a hold of anybody at the bank to talk to them about the problem you're having. So the Good Neighbor Act would change that. It would hold banks accountable to being good neighbors, to following state maintenance code, and it would require that they supply every municipality with a name of a person whenever they take over a property. The idea being that the sooner we get these houses sold, the less time they have to go delinquent and for them to become places where maybe crime or other things have happened. So those are a few of the things that we're working on that have to do with local government, Rhinebeck specifically. I want to take just a few minutes while I'm here to answer any questions that you have, or take any comments or advice that you have. I have with me Brian Kelly, my Director of Government Operations, who many of you have maybe already dealt with various issues. I know we've met with you about the water treatment plant, the water system in general, and some other issues. So he's here to take notes of anything you have to say, and so at this time I entertain any questions that you have.
Well, Terry, you mentioned about mandates, but what is even worse is, putting tax caps on the budgets and having mandates. So where are you with that?
Well, I was never a big fan of the tax cap. When we were here, I know that we saw the effects of it immediately. One of the points I keep trying to make in your defense is that the tax bill that everyone receives throughout the state, even Dutchess County, even in Rhinebeck, you're one of the smallest parts of that bill, the village is. The town is also a smaller part of it. The large part of all the tax bills that most people are receiving in New York State now, both businesses and residential owners, are the school taxes. And I do think it's unfair that we continue to ask our local towns and villages and cities to cut back more and try to somehow resolve the cost of living that way. The real way to resolve the cost of living is to start taking the funding of education seriously and to try to find a new way to fund it so that it's not based on property ownership, or at least not fully based on that. And that's the way that we're going to really reduce the cost of living, really bring the tax base down. And that's something that we're focusing on. In the meantime, we are continuing to advocate that our villages and towns receive more money for infrastructure, receive more money for the projects that you need. It's something that the state is not accustomed to doing lately. So as a new voice there, as an outsider there, it's something that we continue to bang away at. And all I can tell you is that we'll keep fighting for that.
One thing that worries me is I hear some grumblings from the fire department people about all these courses they have to take to get certified. And these guys are volunteers and they have jobs. And a lot of them don't have the time to take all these required courses from the state. Are you familiar with any of that?
I am. Having been a volunteer firefighter before I moved up to Rhinebeck, I'm very aware of that. So it is extremely time-consuming. On top of the fact that it's very difficult for our volunteers to afford to live in the communities that they serve because of the high cost of property taxes, and the fact that they are sometimes working two jobs, and those jobs are sometimes out of the town that they're working in, the fact that we have these additional classes on top of it, very difficult. Many of these things have been around for quite a while. Since I've been in office, I'm not aware that we've passed any legislation that has added any additional mandates to fire departments in terms of classes, but there were plenty already. That's something that the state, there is a state department that regulates all of that, and that fight has to sort of be fought within that department. I do hear regularly from representatives of the Rhinebeck Fire Department as well as other fire departments throughout my district and the state about this and many other issues, so we are in touch with them.
The C word, consolidation. I was told to stay away from that when I was campaigning, but it does come up all the time, and the state has generally encouraged us to look at that. Is there any possibility of getting any funding for municipalities to look at that potential? Because it.
Well, my position on consolidation has always been that it should be studied. It should always be studied. I think that all governments would benefit from doing a study to see what the savings would be, to see what issues might be created. You can't certainly make a decision without having those facts and figures. Just in that, since I've been in office, the state legislature has passed a variety of laws that have continued to make it easier for villages to consider consolidating, to look into consolidating. There has been for quite some time now a petition process that you can go through with residents in your district that can allow you to be eligible for the money that's needed to study consolidation. So that money is available through a process that has to be triggered by signatures that are collected by taxpayers in your district. And Brian's going to add something to that, or correct whatever I said.
Just to supplement that, the local government efficiency grants were included this year's budget at the funding levels they've been in the previous couple of years, and those are specifically planning grants. There's a secondary follow-up for implementation, but the large chunk of the money is planning grants. And those are available to the Department of State. You would support any application for one of those study grants, without while remaining agnostic on consolidation.
I mean, our observation has been that the consolidation issue, the cost of studying it has never really been the issue. The issue is always getting the two parties to come to the table to be interested in doing it in the first place and to have the taxpayers support it. There are definitely avenues within the state government to receive help with studying the consolidation process if you can get the process moving. And we'd be happy to help you with that if you reach that point. Okay. All right. Well, I just want to thank you again for having us here. You certainly don't have to wait till we come over to you. Our office is in Poughkeepsie. That is right in the middle of my district, so that's why it's based there. It's on Route 9, right behind Red Lobster, so you can come and get some seafood and see your senator all at the same time. And that office is always staffed Monday through Friday during business hours. You can also go to our website, which is gibson.nysenate.gov. is our website. And my last name is spelled with a P, not a B, Gipson. My name is Terry Gibson. I am not Chris Gibson, who is our congressman in this area. Just to clarify, I'm Terry Gibson, the New York State Senator representing Dutchess and Putnam. So with that said, thank you so much. Have a great evening, and we will move on so your next speaker can step up. Thank you.
Do you get to eat at home tonight?
Maybe. We'll see.
All right.
Good night.
Thank you. Next up, County Legislator Joel Tyner.
Thank you. If you want to take one and pass it down. So I'm playing show and tell. I have a book to talk about briefly, but last night, 8 of us in the county legislature at the full board meeting signed a letter to the county executive requesting that Dutchess County follow the example of Ulster County. The Ulster County Executive Mike Hine last Wednesday signed an executive order for 100% of Ulster County government energy to come from renewable sources as quickly as possible. And I've been aware for over a year that Schenectady County, they're actually saving 30% on their electric bills with solar panels. And, Republicans and Democrats have worked together, obviously, here in the village and town of Rhinebeck. All over the Hudson Valley, there are municipal buildings with solar, saving money. So I'm just hopeful.
Right upstairs here.
Right upstairs, yeah. And, I'm just a little bit frustrated because back in April 2008, we got a resolution passed for solar panels on the county buildings. And in April last year, got a resolution passed unanimously. And so, but I'm hopeful, hope springs eternal. Maybe we keep on talking about it. So that's one thing. Another thing is I'm doing my 11th annual Dutchess County Legislature District 11 essay contest. So if you know somebody who's graduating from Rhinebeck High School, they have another 10 days. They have until June 20th to email me 500 words or less on what they would do if they were in my position. There's been a lot of interesting responses and essays written over the last decade or so. I'm at joeltyner@earthlink.net. or you can send it to the county legislature offices. $100 savings bonds, you get recognized at the high school commencement exercises. You can talk about it on my morning radio show at WHBW.com, 9:50 a.m. Saturday mornings. The Poughkeepsie Journal has done editorials saying we need to do what the Republicans did in Orange County last fall and pass a law against pay-to-play, county level campaign finance reform. 15 years ago, the late great former county executive Lucille Patterson and I launched the drive for this to happen. The Poughkeepsie Journal has done many, many editorials for well testing when properties change hands for volatile organic chemicals. Daley Freeman has editorialized for the neighbor notification for pesticide applications. 70% of people in New York State live in counties that have that. Albany County, Buffalo, a lot of different places around the state have divested from companies, banks like Bank of America and Chase. Why am I bringing all this up? Because I have been around in the county legislature for 11 years. In the olden days, a couple of years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, just a couple of years ago, we used to debate and discuss and deliberate and talk about all that stuff. I don't know, frankly, what's going on because none of that stuff is even being allowed onto the agenda for committee day. Never mind, like all 25 of us get to talk about it and vote on it during the full board meeting. It's not even being allowed onto the agenda for committee day. And that's why, I've already distributed some of this, I've sent emails out. I've taken the rather unusual step, I've never done this in the 11 years I've been in the county legislature, and my colleagues already know this. I've asked them to debate me tomorrow night, 5:30, across the street at Rhinebeck Town Hall, and also Thursday, June 26th at 5:30 p.m. at Rhinebeck Town Hall. There'll be an empty chair there. I'm asking just one member of the majority to explain to me and anybody else who cares what in God's name is going on. Because, you may not, the people in this room, we may not all agree with my ideas, but I'm talking about some really common sense basic stuff that the two biggest newspapers in the county have repeatedly over and over again editorialized for Dutchess County to do. It's one thing to vote it down. It's another thing to not even allow it on the agenda. We can't even talk about it during a committee meeting. That's like, I'm done. That's not acceptable. It's really not acceptable. I've been pointing this out to the media over and over again, month after month after month. Nobody in the media seems to care. So I'm going to be doing this on a monthly basis. And let's see if one member of the majority at least will show their face tomorrow night, 5:30, across the street, Rhinebeck Town Hall. And if they don't show up then, I'll be there again Thursday, the 26th of this month, 5:30. Debate challenge. I handed out the Zero Waste book. I've been in touch with some of the top experts in the country on the whole Zero Waste expert issue, brought him to Vassar College many times for forums. The guy who wrote this book, Paul Conant, has traveled the world successfully, fighting incinerators from being constructed, shutting incinerators down. Francina Amparo was sort of another progressive, troublemaking in a good way, county legislator from Wappingers Falls. She and I are launching a book discussion club on this and Oblong Books is allowing us to do like a 20% discount if you work through us, if there's at least 8 of us. But we're going to move it around. The first meeting is going to be Sunday the 22nd of June, 3 p.m. at the Palestiner in Poughkeepsie. I know there's some people from Poughkeepsie here, some of the best environmentalists, historian and Jim are here. But what I just learned is Wheelabrator just got the contract to continue running the Dutchess County incinerator ad infinitum. Nobody in the media seems to be reporting that. I was hoping for maybe something a little different. I know Tom Mannix here in Rhinebeck doesn't agree with me on too much of anything, but at least Tom and I agree that the incinerator needs to be phased out, shut down, we need to do something else. This book is amazing. The top zero waste experts from all across the country, all across the world have contributed to this book. Please, if you care about air, creating jobs, carbon emissions, saving taxpayer dollars, please work with us because I don't just want it to be me and Francina and a few other people. I would love it if folks all over. So it's called The Zero Waste Solution by Paul Conant. And the last thing I'll say is on Thursday, June 19th at 5:30 p.m., I'm inviting everybody to come to the Clinton Town Hall. I'm doing a forum on Solarize. You may know Brenda Cagle from the Red Hook Town Board. She seems to be working with Northern Dutchess Alliance. There may be the possibility for NDA to make it happen. I got a resolution passed unanimously last June for Dutchess County to launch a Solarize program. It's a 25-30% discount on solar, bulk purchase through the county, where a 5 kilowatt solar system for your roof for a homeowner might be $20,000, it takes it down to $5,000. Madison County has this, Genesee County has this, Tompkins County has this. There's no reason in the world why we can't do this here in Dutchess County. And by the way, in Tompkins County, it started with Danby, Caroline, and Dryden. So if Northern Dutchess Alliance does not embrace this, if the county does not embrace this, and to the credit of the new planning commissioner, Owen Rafter, upon my questioning and prodding and probing, he publicly stated last week that the county is going to roll out a draft proposal in a few weeks. But I've seen a lot. So if that doesn't come to pass, I'm just letting you know, please don't let 2014 go by without a solarized program happening, because it would save a ton of money, create a lot of green jobs. And I would just say, please go to MidHudsonNews.com and check out there was some really moving and stirring testimony. I've organized the Martin Luther King March for 20 years in Poughkeepsie, and there are people who came and, in their own words, and look at the webcast of last night's county legislature meeting. Youth programs have been decimated in Poughkeepsie. I grew up in Poughkeepsy. There's no YMCA, there's no YWCA, there's no Big Brothers Big Sisters. The county doesn't have any money anymore for the Green Tea Community Gardening Program in Poughkeepsie, but $9 million has already been spent on the jail cell pods on the way towards a $180 million new jail. And it is not particularly safe to walk around the streets of Poughkeepsie. It's the county seat. Please, my friends, my brothers and sisters in Poughkeepsie are trying to wake everybody up. We have a $26 million budget surplus right now. We have a fund balance. Can we put a little bit of that into the youth program? Thank you for your patience again, and happy summer.
Thanks, Joel. So before we move on to the department reports, I just wanted to recognize some of the efforts that went into a successful Memorial Day parade here in the village. And as a reminder, that's not a village-sponsored event, but it's sponsored by the American Legion Post 429. And for decades, former trustee Wayne Reifenberg has been making that a success here. Also wanted to thank Sergeant Pete Dunn in the police department for making sure that went smoothly, the fire department for looking sharp, and our street department for all their efforts in making the village look good for all the visitors we had that day. None of the street department was available on actually Memorial Day, so I wanted to thank a couple other village employees, Billy Monero from the wastewater department and Tom Wallbank from the water department for coming in and helping us out on short notice. And as we usually do, we try to adjust our agenda and get our visitors up here first. So I'm going to go to Kyle Irwin from FEET to talk about a proposed marathon, which would be coming up next spring.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me here tonight. Just first to give you a little background about myself, about the company, and the people that would be organizing this. My name is Kyle Irwin. I grew up in Rhinebeck. My first job was working for the town at the rec park for my mom, who was the rec director. I moved away for several years for college and the Peace Corps. Came back to New York City, worked for a not-for-profit in microfinance. I have a master's degree in international affairs, and I am happy to be back in Rhinebeck and back in New York, and looking forward to hopefully putting on a great event in my hometown. So the philanthropic donations for this event will go towards the town rec park, as well as hopefully bringing on board the American Heart Association. That is just in line with our mission to promote a health and wellness event in this community, both the village and the town. And then beyond that, and we like to target different local athletic teams from Red Hook or Rhinebeck, or Red Hook, I should say, and bring them on board to sponsor and be a part of some of the aid stations. We would provide all the goods, but they would be able to take ownership of the different aid stations and really make it their own. And then in turn for doing that, we would make a small donation to each individual athletic team to support their uniforms or anything that they would like to do. Okay. So I think those are some of the most important things just to put out there right away. We are looking at May 16th. That is a Saturday, 2015. The reason for choosing a Saturday would be for several reasons. One, to bring in traffic on a Saturday that would hopefully stay through a Sunday in order to generate the most revenue for the community as they frequent local businesses, restaurants, and different shops. Another would be for many of the community members who go to church on Sunday to hopefully not have the town flooded with parking. I've heard that has been a problem with other events, so we'd like to avoid that. I spoke with Andy from the fairgrounds today and Mr. Imperati, and he said pending approval this evening, since we received approval support from the town board last night, that we would be put on the calendar and we are good to go with the fairgrounds. So the start and the finish would be there. That is based on the experience and the recommendation from Sergeant Dunn that it has worked very well for the half marathon, as well as having parking, paying for parking and having parking and restroom use and all the food contained to the fairgrounds in there. That would keep much of that out of the village as far as for how the marathon operates, and hopefully not, cause any problems that way. And then has anyone received this?
I don't believe so.
Okay, so we have done several versions of the course. I think we're on version number 4 about now, from when I first sat down with the mayor to sitting down with Sergeant Dunn a couple of times now. And I think we are getting closer. Our priority is to make sure we ensure the safety of our runners as well as the safety of any community members, and to mitigate and limit concerns of any of the citizens who, don't enjoy not being able to leave their home for a period of time. We understand that, and that's definitely a concern we take seriously. For anyone that we would cause a problem, that maybe we would suggest, please don't leave your driveway right now. We have a massive amount of runners going by. We would give them a time frame. We would give them ample amount of notice. We will give them free entry into the race. We will make sure that we try to do everything we can to make this as least imposing on their daily activities as possible. So we definitely take that concern seriously. Since you don't have this, let me just look at it. At 7:30 a.m. we would plan to start the full marathon, and then we will either start the half marathon at 7:30 a.m. as well, or at 8 a.m. We might stagger that. We're discussing those options with the appropriate police and emergency services and everything to see what works best for everyone. By doing that, the cutoff for a marathon is generally 8 hours, so we start at 7:30, be out of everyone's hair by 3:30 at the latest. Usually there's only a couple runners coming in that time. The peak hours are the 3 to 5 hour range for when individuals would complete the race. And we have developed, let me just show you, for every time I do a proposed course, we develop a timetable. So this goes from the fastest runner to the slowest runner at every single street or turn when you will see traffic on that street. And then that's helpful, I think, in making the strategy for police and emergency services, as well as our own staff on the marathon to organize and run the race and make sure everything flows well. We would like to involve local businesses as much as possible and plan to meet with the head of the Chamber of Commerce. We've developed 3 different types of sponsorship. That's just for now. There would be a full sponsorship where, such as things like you're featuring a local business logo on a t-shirt, any signage, participation in both a physical and virtual e-race bag, as well as possible participation at an aid station and a promotional table at the finish line. That would be the full sponsorship. There's also just a goodie bag sponsor for smaller businesses that would like to take advantage of that opportunity, or a race day sponsor. You could have a table at a marathon. I know how these things operate firsthand. I have worked with race directors for an entire race season out in California. As a co-race director, I've also had my own promotional table for our business. We do some trips abroad as well as other marathon services. So really, we understand all the different parts that make this type of race the best race possible for everyone involved, from the race participants to the local community. And we're planning it this far in advance to make sure that everything gets due process and paid attention, and that we do everything diligently, and everyone in the end will benefit. At the finish line, race participants, we will do awards. We'll do overall top finishers. We will do age group awards. We'll have food. I discussed with at the fairgrounds today, we'll use their cafe, so permitting is already taken care of. And then we'll have things like a massage tent, all runners like that after a race. Really trying to go above and beyond for delivering the best event possible. And then the course, I can't remember if I already said it, so tell me what it is. But the course right now where we're looking at more of a 13.1 out and back. We're not crossing 199. We would only be crossing 9 at the beginning and at the end. So making sure that we're not in the way too much. And then making sure there's always access points through the village and around, so no one's really closed off from getting from one part of town to the other. I'm looking at Sergeant Dundee to make sure I've said that correctly. Okay. We will be pursuing USA Track and Field certification as well as official event sanctioning. That both makes it possible for race participants to use this as a qualifying time for other races, as well as providing event liability, general liability coverage of $1 million policy. In addition, my business has a $1 million general liability policy for the year anyway, so we'll have dual coverage, which is always best. We will look to involve race day staff we'll have 3 to 5 paid staff members on hand. That's in addition to the volunteers. There will be approximately 20 aid stations, as well as the co-race director, who is my sister, Robin Irwin-Cordy, and we have a community advisor liaison, as I like to call her, my mother, Liz Irwin. So she's been very helpful. We'll also have 2 medics on hand to make sure that any emergencies at the finish line or during the race are taken care of. We will coordinate with the Northern Dutchess Hospital and the ambulance. There will always be a spot to pull up. So all of those pieces are extremely important. The police, the fire department, and medical staff are the most important to me, and the runners. And I think that gives you a good idea of what we're planning and hoping to do. And if you have any questions, I'd love to answer them.
How many participants do you think you're going to have?
In our first year, I project have a 500, a max of 1,500. We won't hit 1,500 this year, but that would be a max. And I discussed that already with the fairgrounds as well. So they're both those numbers.
What about the added police expense?
That's paid. Yeah. Oh, absolutely. There will be a collaboration between, I've been told, between the Rhinebeck Police Department, the highway sheriffs, as well as state police, and that is paid by our business.
The highway department?
Sheriff.
Am I saying that?
County sheriff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So there's no financial responsibility or matching of funds or anything like that that we are asking for from the town or from the village at all.
What's the entrance fee?
The entrance fee. So comparing to other marathons, not the New York City Marathon because that's wildly expensive. We're thinking, we haven't said it yet because we're still doing our economics of all the costs. We're thinking of no more than $75. That allows us to then give large discounts of 50% to everyone who's from Rhinebeck, give free comp entries to the local run club leaders, give discounts to anyone who participates in a run club within a 200-mile radius. So we really want to make sure by, if we have a $75 entrance for the full marathon and people from traveling outside of the region hopefully will pay that, then we're able to heavily discount and give comp entries to a lot of the local communities and run clubs. But we'll stay in line with other local marathons.
And you're making money on this?
Hopefully, yes, I will make some money. This is a for-profit. I have a for-profit company. We are a year old. I will put in a large amount of my time during the year to do this. I would love to be able to just do that for free, but it's my job, and so I need to be able to live from it. I'm not going to be pocketing tons of profit off of this. If for some reason this type of event brought enough brand recognition to some of our other adventures that we do, and God willing, I become wildly successful at that and could do this completely on a philanthropic basis in my hometown, I would love to do that. So it's not, my background working in nonprofits and doing the Peace Corps is not, I'm not a large corporation. I'm just a small female business owner. And hopefully we succeed.
Is this your first marathon ever?
Is this my first marathon?
Producing.
This would be my first, where we are the lead organizers. This would be our first lead organizing. The race directors that I have worked with in California will also be coming to work with me on my first one. I could have stayed out in California and done those in California. It was really my dream to do it here and do it on the roads where I've grown up and grown up running. I grew up playing sports in Rhinebeck. It's a lot of fun.
How do you figure out how much money you're going to donate to the town rec park?
Sure, that's a very fair question. We will see. So we start off our entrance at up to 9 months in advance. Once we see initial how many people are registering, we'll be able to give a good idea of how much we can feasibly donate in year one. It would be that would be our main donation.
Yeah, because we're looking to build a couple of ball fields and a soccer field.
No, yes, and I've heard about everything that some of the plans that have been in the works for many, many years at the town rec park. We would love to be involved and hear more about that so we can get excited and say, this money is going to this, this, and this. Anything else? But pending your approval, that night we can be booked with fairgrounds.
Thanks, Kyle. And we have the completed event application, right, Kyle?
Yeah.
All the pieces are in there.
Are we going to do this now?
You want to?
We don't know the group, do we?
What's that?
Well, so the, comment on that. So the course is typically something that is worked out over time on races that I've worked at. I mentioned this at the town board meeting last night. I worked at a race where 3 days before there was an issue with the fire department and they completely changed the entire course. So it is understood that a race does not go off without the approval of law enforcement and emergency services. We just seek approval to move forward with the caveat that comes through.
And the fire department's okay with this?
I haven't met with them yet. We're still working on the route. As soon as we get done on the route, then we'll sit down with fire, police, sheriff, highway, all those other events.
But in order for us to, I wouldn't be comfortable going out and starting to say to anyone to try and start to talk to our partners or really post anything on our website or anything like that without knowing that we at least have the support to continue to move forward with the caveat that the course is approved, which I think it will be.
So you're looking for a tentative approval of police department and the fire department?
Yes, I think with any event, that's what happens. The race on race day cannot take place without them, and so that's a big part of it.
I'm just wondering what that looks like. So if we approve tonight and we get down to a week or so before the event, do we have a sign off by all the different departments, or is there a document, or is?
Well, I hope long before a week before the event that sign off comes that happens. I mean, I just started talking with Sergeant Dunn a week ago, and we've already met twice and gone through 4 revisions, and I think we're fairly close to getting where we need to be. So based upon how things are moving, then that would happen again, hopefully relatively soon. But as with the other half marathon, I know there was continuing discussion about the course, even as they moved forward.
When does registration close? Do
Registration, well, usually there's just price increases, and then registration will officially close several days before the event.
Just several, okay. I mean, 1,500 sounds like a very different event to me than 500,
Oh, yeah.
but as long as the police are comfortable with it.
Yeah, and the medical support will be paid medical
Yeah.
support that you'll be
So we
securing.
would
So
have
the,
2 medics on staff like there, and I've already began talking with Pat Biglio, who is connected in that area. So we'll have 2 medics on staff, and that's not even generally required, and then we'll also collaborate and coordinate with the Northern Dutchess Hospital. But part of the process is to come and say hello to everyone and make sure everyone thinks this is okay, moving forward.
Fire department, I want to make sure that they're going to be able to be there because they're volunteers. Are you counting on them and their rescue squad to be there, to be available?
To be at the race,
Well, to be available that day.
it would be the same standard as anyone who more or less would have a fire in their home on a given day. We would need to speak with them in advance to say, if you had to come to the finish line, this is the route of entry or something like that. But I've never seen a fire truck at race day at the finish line.
No, I'm not saying they're going to be there, but are they going to be aware of what's going on?
yeah, we'd have planning meetings as it approached. And
If we sit down and talk to them, we'll include them in all the meetings.
And I think that once we get more established, I think it would be appropriate for you to come back before the board.
Oh, absolutely.
And with some finalized plans, and then I think the buy-in of all the different departments and sign-offs.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be nice as we get further along to come back and even report on how many local businesses are participating, how many race participants have signed up at a certain point. By no means are we looking to withhold information, and we're absolutely open and flexible to hearing concerns, making changes, and making sure everyone's on board.
And once we know the numbers, may want to coordinate with our Dutch paramedics as well.
We're projecting similar growth rates to what we've seen the half marathon do.
I'll make the motion to approve the event application as submitted.
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you. Thanks, Kyle. So from there, we're going to skip all the way down under other business letter C, number 6, letter C. That's going to be our insurance update. We recently renewed our liability insurance with NYMER this time, so that was a change for us, which offered some cost savings to the village. And as we did last year, we are reassessing our workman's comp as well. And currently we're at the New York State Insurance Fund, which is administered through the Dowden Agency. So we have Bill Dowden here to give us a little information on that.
Good evening. Thanks, Mayor Tortorella. I am here before you tonight at the request of Mayor Tortorella to give you some information about the safety group, which is the New York State Public Entity Safety Group 497. It's administered through the State Insurance Fund, and the policy renews on July 1. And it's a fully insured plan versus a trust which is not fully insured. And basically the primary difference is on claims with a trust, there is the possibility that you, as the policy holder, could participate in payment of the claim. The trust also had the ability to assess policyholders following premiums that have been paid. The Gladfelter Brokerage Group is actually the administrator of the safety group. And I am a member of the there are 5 people on the executive committee, and I happen to be a member of the executive committee. The village has been insured through the safety group since 1996. And I provided some information to the mayor on the dividends. Dividends are not guaranteed, but last year the dividend for the village was around $21,000. And over the last 6 years, the dividends have totaled over $97,000, and those are checks that actually come back to the policy holders through the safety group. Some of the changes that happened this year based on the workers' compensation in New York, the loss cost multiplier, which is something that is determined for the insurance companies, the state insurance fund, went from 1.43 to 1.53%. The New York State has a loss assessment charge. That went down, which is good. That went from 18.8% to 13.8%. And that, again, is something that's determined by the Workers' Compensation Board. So the companies or the safety groups, the state insurance fund does not have power to determine that. What you are receiving is a 5% within the policy, a 5% good experience credit, and also the state insurance fund safety group 20% upfront credit, in addition to the dividend that follows at the end of every year. Some of the increases that were outlined in a newsletter that goes out to every policyholder and member of the safety group is last year the rates from last year to this year for street and road construction increased 27% in New York State. Sewer plant operations increased 45%. And all of these premiums are determined by the payroll that is allocated to the classification code. So it's important to make sure that the payroll is clearly understood by the auditor who comes from the state insurance fund to complete the audit. One thing that the village did, and the mayor alluded to, is you send in a reservation of rights letter in May, and what that signals to the state insurance fund is you want the policy canceled July 1. The way to correct that, if you want to stay with an insured plan, is to send in the rescinding letter, and that's what the village did last year. The village sent in a reservation of rights letter and then sent in the rescinding letter to stay with the safety group. If you were to leave the safety group, you would not have the 20% upfront credit. You would not have dividends. Trusts don't pay dividends. Some large trusts went out of business in the last 8 years. The largest one was in Poughkeepsie, CRM. And another one was in Albany that dealt a lot with nursing homes. It was called the Pool Trust. And that left a lot of nursing homes with a problem. I think the most significant problem is that you can share in your losses, where an insured plan will not require you to share in the losses. And also, there are no assessments. I don't know if anybody remembers, years and years ago, there were assessable mutual insurance companies in the state of New York, and many of them insured farms. So if too many barns burned, the company paid the claims, and then they sent the farmer a thank you for paying his premium, but here's the extra assessment because we have to pay more than we took in. So you don't have an assessment situation with the state insurance fund. And I'll answer any questions that you may have. But the only thing I can encourage you to do would be to send in the rescinding letter so that you can stay with an insured plan and also benefit from the dividends that come out. Also, the Rhinebeck Fire Department received a dividend this year of around $12,500. So if you have any questions, feel free to give me a call. We're not the agent, but because I sit on the executive committee, I try to provide an extra service to the village of Rhinebeck for this safety group. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks, Bill. So we do have at least one other quote. We're waiting on another, and I'll share those as soon as we get them. But we will have to, either renew or make a decision before July 1st. So from there, we'll go on to our department reports. Starting down there with Gary with the wastewater.
Okay. For May, the wastewater treated was 3.9 million gallons. Gallons of sludge processed was 44,452 gallons, and pounds of sludge processed was 5,290 pounds. And otherwise, no issues coming from the wastewater department.
Okay. Heinz in the water department.
Well, we treated, our net treated water in May was 12,204,000 gallons. We installed a electronic pressure gauge to constantly monitor the pressure in our output pipe. And we did that so when we have a line break somewhere, when it happens during the night or something, somebody's going to get called, get a notification that there is an issue with a low pressure situation someplace. This is one of the things we're doing to sort of mitigate our breakage on the line. The next item that we wanted to do is to put the pump controls on there on the 3 high lift stations, and unfortunately, because of the death of our in the family of our village engineer and the death in one of the people who were supposed to give us a heads up on the valves, we're going to be late for about a month. We have a delay of about a month to get our bid package out. I'm evaluating a low-cost alternative, low-cost option to protect our low lift station. I found something called muscle wall, which gives us about a 4-foot rise. You know, if the water rises above 4 feet of the base and so on, it's still safe, so that should be good for a number of years. That can also be applied or used some other places. It's a big piece of plastic, hollow plastic that gets filled with water, gets sealed together, and can be moved. It's about a 6-foot wide wall, and it costs, I don't know what it costs, but it weighs about 100 pounds and can be moved. We had for years apparently a leak on the south side of the building. I think I showed it to you one time, where the water starts to run, it accumulates over one of the settling tanks on the outside, and then moves towards the building, and then came in on the ceiling and the lower part of the building where the drainage and the pipe galleries are. And we are digging that out. It's about 70 foot of manual digging that we have to do. We're about halfway through, and we have to seal it up. I have the water department do it rather than getting a person or company to do that. We're going to do it ourselves with a little bit of overtime here and there. As far as the water distribution system is concerned, we repaired the water main break near Platt Avenue, 32 Platt Avenue actually. We replaced 2 broken hydrants in Rhinecliff, one at Orchard and Kelly, one at 68 Orchard Street in Rhinecliff. And I had asked our village engineer to put a conceptual replacement strategy together for our distribution system. And unfortunately, for the same reason as the pump controls, that's going to be late as well, at least a month late. We'll talk about electrical power reduction initiatives that we have taken. Because of our solar panels up there, we generated 3,081 kilowatt hours of power, consumed about 60 kilowatt hours of power, which saved us approximately $490 at 16 cents a kilowatt hour. And that is all I have for now.
Heinz, do you have anything? Did you ever get in touch with the gentleman about the demand?
Yes, I had called this fellow about a month before you sent me the note, because of Gasparini told me about it. And I got on the phone with him, and I wanted to discuss this. I got on the phone with this gentleman, and I wanted to discuss the issue with him, and he said, well, he was ready to go to a meeting, and he's going to call me back. He never did. What it is essentially, what they, like, as I understand it, what they want us to do is to commit our spare generator. If we have a power outage or somewhere, I want to use this, and I am just not ready, if that's what it is, to commit that. And I think that would be the same for the wastewater, even so the wastewater is probably not as immediate as it is for the water supply.
I thought it was to commit to using less energy during peak times and like offsetting your high demand.
Yeah, well, we are doing that now,
Okay.
we're doing that now. But that one had to do with generators, using generators.
Okay.
Do we get a lower rate for electric if we use the electric more at night?
I think that's what this gentleman met with Anthony about running the high demand, high power usage equipment.
Our demand is by and large required by starting up and stopping motors. That's the big demand. The demand goes up for 10, 15 minutes, and the power company monitors start at the same time. Now at night, there's nobody there. So we have the 1 hours during the day. As far as the building here is concerned, I think you have not too many options to use your power as a function of time. I mean, people are working here from 8 to 5, and that's where the power goes.
Okay. Scott, Fire Department?
For the month of May, the Village Fire Department responded to 30 EMS calls, 15 in the village and 15 in the town. They responded to 15 fire calls, 7 in the village and 8 in the town, and responded to 8 motor vehicle accident calls, 1 in the village and 7 in the town, for a total of 53 calls for the month, 30 in the town and 23 in the village. So about 57% of the calls went out to the town and 43 to the village. Year to date, they responded to 231 calls in the town and 192 in the village, for a total of 423 calls to date.
Today, January to what? January to
Starts in November.
Starts in November.
The fire department call run.
And I just have a little bit of an update. We've been, as you know from past meetings, we hired a fire department consultant. Finally, we've been able to schedule our kickoff meeting. We had some scheduling issues with the holidays and differing schedules, but we're meeting him this Friday at 9:45 in the morning to start our review of the department needs, future projections and stuff like that. And then within that, we're going to also address how we should address the replacement of the truck that's now in need of repair, whether it's a replacement or a repair. So it's all kind of built into
So in a month's time, we should have some sense.
Absolutely. That's all.
So I'll give a little update on the contract. We were invited by the town. They had a client attorney meeting last week. Myself and Rich Olson, our attorney, went over, and the town has retained an attorney, a fire specialist attorney, to represent them in the negotiations. And I guess the key points that we talked about were, reducing. They questioned the need for the equipment that we have, the number of pieces. So one of the potential cost savings that they recommended was reducing our number of apparatus. Rich is looking into it, and I've done some research into it. We've not been able to confirm that we would be able to reduce it, and Rich is going to address that a little later for us. Another piece that they talked about was creating an ambulance district or ambulance department that would bill, generate revenue and offset some of the costs for the town contract.
The town was supposed to do that as well, right?
Yes. They would have to look into it, and we would have to.
Did you were supposed to pass a resolution of some sort, if I remember right?
Are you addressing me?
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Elizabeth Spinzia, the supervisor. I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
The question is, when we have a meeting, both of our bodies should have come up with some kind of a resolution
For,
creating a district.
you have to do it first and then we do it.
So you haven't done it yet?
No, you have to take the lead on it. It's your fire department. You would have to sever, in effect, the ambulance from the fire department and create a new fire department. Brad Pinsky, the attorney we hired, has been in touch with your attorney outlining every step. Thanks.
Yeah, Rich has another commitment. He'll be here later, and we will be addressing some of his concerns and some of the research he's done into it later in our executive session. And basically, the offer or the proposal from the town still stands at $160,000 for a one-year contract. So that's where we're at. Howie?
You want to say something?
Oh, go ahead, Scott.
I was just wondering, the budget of which the 160 was coming from, what % of the total budget is that? Do we know that number?
Of our,
The 160 is that 50% of the budget for the fire department?
I don't know what the 160 is, but our rate, our projected rate was 169,000 was our projected cost for fiscal year 2013-14. So for us, the year, that year is over. So that ended on May 31st. And that was based on 51%, which is based on the calls from the previous year, the call breakdown from the previous year. And our projection for 2014-15 is 184,000. And that budget has already we've already passed that budget, and that's what the town's portion would be. That's what the cost would be to cover the town at the current level. Okay.
Highway Department.
Highway.
Okay, the guys have been all obviously picking up the brush along the roads, and last week we made some fresh mulch from the brush. It cost us around $8,000 to grind up the brush to make the mulch this time. That fluctuates as we have, based on the amount of brush that we have to do. So we have some mulch for sale for $20 a yard, and how this works is you come to the village clerk and you pay $20. She gives you a receipt, you go down to the highway garage and get the mulch. And we also deliver for free in the village. The guys have been fixing the catch basins. We actually have one of our employees is a master at fixing catch basins. He used to work for the state, Tim Decker. I'd like to thank him for doing that. And they've been filling the potholes, mowing the parks. Unfortunately, one of the newer dump trucks we have is down. We've been having electrical problems with it, and it's up at Ben Funk's up in Hudson, where we bought it from, and he's trying to fix that. And I know you have some things you want to say. I have a grapple truck here as a note. We've been looking into buying a grapple truck, which is like a clamshell arm, comes off of a truck and picks up the mulch and puts it right into the back of the dump truck there. It's all one truck. And we've just been looking around at different options on that.
It's more for picking up brush and debris.
Right.
You say mulch. Yeah.
I always get
No,
that.
I always want to make sure that we're not buying it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pre-mulch.
Yeah, the pre-mulch.
The raw ingredients to the mulch.
Yes.
Okay.
We're looking for more efficient ways to picking up the brush on the streets. Any questions?
Go ahead, Hans.
I see you got something here that looks kind of pretty good for
Yeah.
$50,000.
Yeah, that's kind of on hold at the moment.
That's on hold?
It is, yeah. But we have to go out to bid because it exceeds the procurement policy amount of 25,000. So
But
that would be a challenge to put out a bid on for a used piece of equipment. The specs would be difficult.
And how, well, at least we have to pay something, right? In excess of $10,000 or so. The question is, where do we take the money from? Is that coming out of CHIPS money?
For a piece of equipment like that would be financed.
Would be financed. So that's, if it were this one here, it would be say $10,000 a year.
Probably roughly
Plus-
10,000.
plus
So let's say
2,000.
10 to 12 for 5 years for a piece of equipment like that. So
We got it in the money.
that's it. That's what it would hit the next year's budget. How about the, do you want to say anything about the big bellies?
Yeah, these trash bins that we have in the village are known as big bellies. They're solar-powered trash bin compactor. And we also have, one side is for recycling cans and bottles, and the other side is for recycling paper. And we just got a grant from the Frost Foundation. I'd like to thank the Frost Foundation for $18,500. That's right? Right, $18,500. I want to make sure I'm saying the right amount. And that'll enable us to buy 3 more of these big belly stations. So we're just thinking now amongst ourselves where we can put these. We have one location in front of the CVS store, which would go near the crosswalk, which would be in the spot where nobody can park, so nobody can be backing into these things. That's what we're trying to find. Places where we can put this where they might not get backed into from
Because
cars.
there you have a power pole and you have trees.
Yeah.
Very narrowly defined area.
Right,
so it's
right.
a perfect place to put it.
The top of the compactor has a solar panel on it, and we have to make sure there's sunlight hitting that.
Do we have a target for rollout of the new ones? A target date?
I'd like to get them as soon as possible. We have one spot, as I said, I think we have one spot that we agree on. We just have to think of 2 others, more effective spots.
Does it have to be all 3 units? Because we talked about the possibility of putting one out at the park, and it seems like the paper one, for example, would not be real useful at the park. The
Yeah, I
other
think
2 units
we
might.
have the amount, and I think that we should look into possibly splitting it, maybe
At least one of them.
yeah. So maybe not a triple unit, maybe a double unit, since our recycling here is commingled anyway.
Right.
As well, so maybe a double unit, or just even a single for
I was
trash.
thinking, it's
So
going to be a
maybe-
big change from the small thing we have now to these
Yeah.
large
It's
things.
about $4,500 for the compactor.
Okay.
That's all 3 things?
No, that's the one thing. The
one, that's
solar powered compactor is $4,500, and the other 2 sides are about $700, $800 each or more.
Okay.
So $6,000 for a complete.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Do they require
Because
a
the idea is-
special installation?
No, then the highway department does a concrete pad, they install it right there. We can do it ourselves, but the idea is to buy them all at once because they don't like to send just one up. They're actually made in the Bronx. They like to send them all up at once, not one at a time. There's cities that buy thousands of these at a time. We're a small customer, but so we have to figure this out where we want to put it.
Yeah, we had correspondence on the sidewalk issue. I don't want to, we'll put it, since it's in highway, I don't know if you want to address it from Mr. Walters on
Yeah, we'll
Mulberry
take care of
Street.
that.
So that's on the schedule to
Yeah, I
be
called
built,
him.
the
I called
sidewalk?
him.
Okay.
Howie, one other thing, I think we mentioned it last month. There is a situation on Church of Messiah, Route 9 and Chestnut Street, in that neighborhood, where you have a really bad drainage system. It's open, there's a big piece of steel lying over it,
It's on Route 9.
It's on Route 9, yeah.
It's on Montgomery. It's the
And
plate
steel
that's on
the
top.
plate is not very heavy, and it's moved already about 4 inches, so there's a big hole in there.
Is that a state issue?
No, the state would say it's our issue.
It's on Chestnut
Probably was a
Street.
state
No,
installed.
it's not. It's actually on, no, it's on the corner, but it's actually on Montgomery.
Yeah, it's up.
It would be our issue. I'll have Mike look at it.
Because that is a potential, a real potential. And on top of it, that metal plate is bent up. Somebody can just fall over it.
It's right at the cross too, where people cross.
Last thing on street before we get to Elizabeth, does anyone have any input on the, I know we took a field trip last time and looked at the lighting in the municipal lot. Does anyone have any feedback on that? No? Elizabeth?
Do we determine what, if we own that part of the parking lot?
That'll confirm that for us with Karen. Yeah.
I didn't confirm it, but I thought we did.
Yeah, the annex to the municipal lot, the lower portion. Yeah, let's confirm
Let's
that.
look into that.
Yeah.
Okay. Elizabeth?
Thanks, Elizabeth Spinzia. Are you guys finished discussing the fire contract for the meeting?
We are going to discuss, Rich has some, he's been researching it based on what Brad put forth, and he's going to have some information for us later on in our...
You'll do that in executive session. So I just wanted to make sure you didn't want us to stay, and you'll get in touch with us tomorrow. Or...
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Thanks for coming. Planning and zoning?
The zoning department performed 6 municipal search reports this past month. They issued 3 zoning violations, 2 special use permits. They reviewed and issued 5 building permits, and they issued 2 stop work orders. The building department took in $2,025 in building department fees, $3,800 in planning board applications, and $200 in zoning board fees. John Fenton has proposed to us some new rates for our building permits. He had done that, I think, at the 2 meetings ago, and we've had a little bit of time to review them. He's asking for an update as to whether we agree with those and if maybe we should implement them. I voiced my opinion last month that I had checked them with other municipalities and they're in line with those. What I'm just uncertain is how to implement those. Is that something that we pass a resolution on, do we vote on? How then do we do that? And do you have any comments on those fees?
What's that? Public hearing?
Yeah.
I guess we can, we'll address it with Rich,
Well, can I-
confirm that when he gets here, and then, based on his recommendation, we'll get it on the agenda for July. I mean, we won't have enough time to look at it now, and it'll be 90 days of review period, so it should be, it's good to go.
There's fire inspections as well as...
Fire inspections as well as, yeah. Fire inspections and fines for false alarms.
Right.
There have been a number of people over a couple of years have been looking at some changes to the zoning code. Brant Neunecker, former trustee, has done a fair amount of work in that regard. I think John Fenton has some suggestions, others have come up. So I'd like to suggest that we create a working committee, subcommittee, that can, because we don't want to do this piecemeal and do a couple of changes here. If we're going to make some changes, want to do it
We
comprehensively.
also have changes in the water department, same thing, so we should do it all together.
Well, we've been talking about this though for as long as I've been here, and
Right.
I've been waiting for this list of things that these changes.
Right.
So
Do you
where
have-
does this, where
Well,
does this?
that's why I'm thinking the working committee.
Well, before we get the committee, so we get the list and see those things, and then create the committee. We talked about this last time, creating a committee with 2 members of the zoning board and 2 members of the planning board, and then maybe you and I together, we can facilitate the whole thing. But I think before we get going, I'd like to see what this list that we keep talking about.
Okay,
I don't know where, I don't know where it was.
order of the.
So we don't have it yet? I mean,
Who owns the list? Brandon Whitaker's working on it.
Brant has been working on one, but I thought John Fenton has his own. That's why I thought there were sort of
yeah.
different entities who,
Okay.
and the planning board itself has some
Right.
ideas.
So the
So I
thought
was
is to have,
thinking a reverse.
Well, I was thinking that Brant actually had the planning board one, because I had been on I was on the village board years ago when we created those subcommittees and started those ideas, and they have accumulated over time, and I thought maybe that's what Brant actually had in
well,
here.
maybe the planning board has an active list. I don't know if you guys want to put together a committee? You want
Well, I owe you a list too.
What's that?
I owe that virtual committee or potential committee a list as well.
And then we're talking about we're talking about general code
Code
changes.
Yes.
Right.
And then we're talking about planning and zoning.
Okay.
So
well,
let's see if we can gather all that information that's out there.
There's a couple of guys you just have to talk to, John Fenton and Brant.
right. So can we get that done
In what capacity is Brant working?
as a community volunteer?
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, he had it compiled when he was a trustee, but if he were to continue, so would be. So let's see if we can have that by next month and see if we can get some volunteers and then we
Can you
can
get that from Brant?
commission the committee. Maybe we should
And I'll
have,
get it from John, if there's a list.
we're gonna have you two guys from the planning board.
Planning
Plan?
zone, yeah, 6 of us.
Okay, maybe we should have a community, two from each board?
We'll have 2 from planning, 2 from zoning,
Okay,
and then Gary and I.
okay.
And
Sounds
David
good.
Miller would be the good check person.
Well, he's on the planning.
Okay.
So do you want to come ready to
John,
propose
he's
the
in.
committee and ready to go next
meeting?
July? Okay. That it for planning and zoning?
I have one more thing, Scott. I had a audit done on how we handle cash. Yes. And I think you've seen it. Yes. I'm going to let it work to be done in the planning. Is that being? Yes.
Yes, I spoke to Karen about it. We're just coordinating a meeting where I can meet with John and Karen to discuss the outcome of that audit. But yes, no, it's in the works. We already spoke about the details of the audit, and now we're going to implement the plan in person.
Okay. Next is the police department, and tonight we have Sergeant Dunn with us to give us our report.
Good evening. I just want to bring up to speed on some of the things that we've done here at the police station since we moved in. Some of the grants and some of the work we've done. I'm not sure if you know, we got a grant for live scan. What that is for processing arrests. So we don't have to fingerprint people anymore the old-fashioned way on paper. So it's done right through the computer and it's sent right to Albany. We get a response within a few minutes. So that grant's been filed and the equipment's been installed and we're using it now. It's approximately a $15,000 grant we got to the state. Also got another grant back in December to replace the computers and 2 of the police cars through the state Division of Criminal Justice. We got the computers are starting to arrive now. We're replacing the computers that we got back in 2004 on a grant. This replaces the computers, the printers, the scanners. That's for issuing all the traffic citations. So the equipment hopefully will be installed within the next month in the 2 cars. So that's in the process. That was about an $18,000 grant. I'm also in front of you tonight, I believe you should have it, is a bulletproof vest policy that I've written for the department. Hopefully for your approval. It's been passed through the unions, it's been approved by them. I talked to Jack today. He's okay with it and I ran it by Rich. Basically, it's a bulletproof vest policy. Every 5 years, we replace a bulletproof vest. They expire. So what happens is we file, there's a grant through the federal government, bulletproof vest program through the federal government. After I filed 4 years ago, a month later, they made it mandatory for every department that files for the grant to have a policy that says the officers will wear the vest on duty. So that's what we're doing now, is we have a policy that we hopefully you'll approve. Basically, I took a sample from the federal government, I redid it and ran it by the attorneys and the union, and they're okay with it. So in order to file for the next grant, which would be this coming year, I need to have the policy in place in order to send it to the federal government to apply for the grant. So that's the next one.
What was bad on the bulletproof vest?
What happens with the vests over a period of 5 years, basically due to perspiration, the vests break down. in the fibers. So especially in rain and basically sweat, it breaks the fibers down in the vest. And it's not, after 5 years, they don't warranty the vest anymore per gunshot. So that's what happens. The vests are approximately $700, $800 a vest based on the size of the officer. So we have that grant. And also, I just happened to bring a monthly report. We had a total of, we issued a total of 109 citations in the village this past month. You should have a copy of that. Explains where they were issued, the date, the time, and sections. I also have the amount of complaints we handled were 99 for the month of May, 99 complaints for the month, and we had a total of 11 arrests for different various things. Also, I've also applied for another grant through the state. I'm not sure if I'm going to get it. It's for another license plate reader. A couple years ago, we had a license plate reader grant. It's mounted on one of the police cars. That was a $17,500 grant. All we had to do was pay $2,200. Basically, what that does is scan license plates through the computer system we have through DMV. And what it does is it picks up anybody that has either a warrant for them, suspended license, suspended registration, things like that. They're unlicensed, those types of things. So out of the 11 arrests, just multiple stuff we've had, revoked registrations, aggravated unlicensed operation. We did have a robbery here in the village, CVS. There was an arrest made, criminal mischief, things like that. So that's about it.
Thanks, Pete.
Nice, Pete. Thanks.
Thanks.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve the policy for proper use and care of the body armor.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Anything from the tree commission?
Well, just update, first, our last meeting took place at Foster's. Tree Commission was saying its thanks to Howie for his years of service, and which seems to have continued seamlessly, even though they said so long. The other we continue to get more applications to have trees taken down. They're coming in at a rate that is unsustainable. So we're working with a volunteer attorney to help us develop language that would change, we'll have some options for the board to consider for changing the policy. It's simply not sustainable for us to continue to pay taking down the number of trees that are coming before us. The Tree Commission is assessing which ones absolutely must come down and which ones we have some time on and so on. So,
But there's no other municipalities who pay for tree removal, right? Are we the only one?
John Wexler, the chairman of the commission, has looked into, and nor have we found the language in our own code that really obligates us to do it. It's sort of a practice that we began, and it's something that we started doing, and now there's an expectation. So we're going to get some language that'll allow us to firm that up. And, I think we'll end up with a choice between language that will begin to share the price of this between the village and the homeowner, or where the homeowner will assume the cost of this. And the cost of, taking down these trees is somewhere between $1,500 to $3,000, depending on the size of the tree.
Yeah, we got a lot of them, right? How many?
Right, I think there's over 20 right now on the list that we have, and more coming in all the time. The word seems to be getting around, and in some cases, even the tree services are saying, "Oh, well, you don't have to pay us; just call the village; they'll take it down for you." Yeah. We're working on that. The other thing I needed to ask is, last meeting we okayed $1,100 for the emerald ash borer treatment. The vendor that was prepared to do it for that price seems to have disappeared. So we're going to the next vendor on the list, and the cost will be slightly higher. We don't know exactly, because there's one tree we had on that list that needed treatment now that we don't think needs a treatment. So the best I can estimate is we already okayed $1,100, that we're talking roughly $1,200 rather than the $1,100. and I'm sorry, I don't have it down to the penny, but that,
Did we have a grant for that?
yes, there was, we had, I think it was a gift from David Silver that will be covering this cost. I think we still have some left over. So
That's correct, right, Pat? That's correct. That we have money left over from the gift to cover that.
Which is $700.
Hmm?
1,100.
This time, we okayed 1,100. I think right now, the last figure we had was 1,278. That was the next bid that we got. I think it'll be a little less because I think there's one less tree involved. So I don't have that down to the penny, but I'm guessing it'll be somewhere just under 1,200.
Want to make the motion?
I move that we approve $1,200 for the Emerald Ash Borer treatment.
I'll second. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Nothing new on the website. Down to our special requests. There was, Pat, what was the agency that is going to be going around the village that did not need a special permit?
No,
NIPER?
Is that NIPER?
yes, I'm for.
NIPER? Okay. Because they came to my door today and asked me to join some movement against hydrofracking. Just want to know if it was the same people that do not need a permit.
Just so you know, that's a student-run organization, not, they're very active on a number of issues, but it's student-run, which adds another dimension.
Okay. Yeah, I just wasn't sure it was the same one, because, they said they weren't going to be soliciting, then he knocked on my door and said, yes, I am, I'm for NIPERG, I want you to join the fight against hydrofracking and go talk to our politicians about that. So I said, well, thanks for the visit.
Well, are they not supposed to be soliciting funds? Is that?
He didn't specifically ask for money, he asked me to join something.
Okay, right, okay.
So,
I mean, I'm a very big supporter of this organization, but what they're doing is clearly solicitation, and I thought we had approved that. But
To ask for money?
they are raising issues and asking for contributions, I believe.
Well, while Rich is looking that one up, let's go on to the next special request.
I thought Rich had given us a ruling on that.
Yeah, they're not selling anything. I mean, our code is very specific as to the sale of
Selling.
merchandise,
Right.
place to place.
Right.
Okay. So they can ask for donations?
And it's really not covered under our code.
Okay. Add that to the list.
Right.
The code. So we have a request from the American Legion for a coin drop on September 5, 6, and 7, between 8 and 5 p.m. And I'm guessing it's at the typical spots where all the coin drops are in the village. Everybody? September 5, 6, and 7.
Okay.
Yeah, there's what goes on up there then?
Is that the fair?
Car show?
It's a car show or antique show.
Antiques.
That's a Labor Day weekend?
Isn't it?
Sounds like it, yeah.
What's the date?
5, 6, and 7, September. Someone like to make a motion?
I make a motion that we allow the American Legion to do the coin drop
Second.
on those dates.
I specify.
5, 6, 7.
Yep.
September 5th, 6th.
Any
and 7th.
discussion on that? All those in favor?
Aye.
By the way, yeah, the American Legion, there's a wonderful job being done out on the Doughboy. When people, I listen, going by it, they love the way this whole situation looked, and flowers planted and kept clean and so on.
Well, we have to give the proper,
Who's?
the Rhinebeck Garden Club?
Is this the Rhinebeck Garden Club?
Yes, yes.
They take care of it?
They take care of that. I'd like to thank the Rhinebeck Garden Club for taking care of the Doughboy Memorial Park. Is that the name of the park?
Yeah.
Does it have a name?
No, the last I heard was DeWitt Grinnell Park.
Okay.
It's in DeWitt Grinnell Park.
And then we have another request for solicitation, I didn't see that one, but I know you told me about it.
Jane Hanson, I
Is that
sent
the
that.
one? Did anyone get that? Door-to-door books? Door-to-door book sales? He submitted a solicitor's,
Our permit says peddling and solicitation permit,
uh-huh,
so that's why I had that question.
okay.
It was to go door to door selling books,
What kind of books?
educational learning system developed by experts and teachers.
Of what subject?
It was all subjects, it was educational books.
Well,
And it was
yeah, I
from
mean, that's-
Southwestern Advantage, that's the name of the company.
And that would be clearly in conflict with our,
Well, it's certainly, they need a permit for that.
yeah, okay.
It would sell door to door books in your state.
So, okay,
So he has to fill out a permit.
he filled out the permit.
Oh, he did?
So it's on the table.
Okay.
Oh,
He filled out the permit, I have the indemnity bond, I have a copy of his driver's license.
It's no different than Mr. Dingler, right?
You refer
The one that we approved.
Not yet.
Ice cream though.
Right.
Just he doesn't knock on your door.
And,
yeah.
Okay, so I make a motion, we approve.
Well, it's gotta be referred to the police department first.
Oh, okay.
Oh, he hasn't signed on? Okay. So that'll go on for,
I really like to know also what it is that is being sold here. What kind of books? I mean, just any kind of books, political books, religious books?
will you forward the application to us once Pete makes his determination on it?
okay.
And then we can put it on the agenda for July. Moving on under other business, we have the closing today for the bids for the Asher Dam, which we rebid due to some omissions in our bid. And they were opened.
Town review.
It looks like there were 1, 2, 3, 4 bids, and the low bidder came in, excuse me, at $59,750, which I believe was the same low bidder as the last time around. Was that correct, Pat?
Yes.
It's been approved by the engineer, so I'd like to make a motion to approve it pending review by our attorney.
Second.
Any discussion on that? All's in favor? Aye. So once Rich has taken a look, we can move forward with that, I believe.
We got formal plans. That can be- Get that later.
So they all came in the afternoon? She told me in the morning was nothing there.
Yeah, I know.
We're at the deadline.
Yes, I do.
So the next thing we have on the agenda here is the employee health insurance plan. Our renewal comes in on August 1st, and the plan that we currently offer is no longer going to be offered. So I think you guys should have got all this. There's a couple different plans available out there.
Have to be reviewed with the union.
What's that?
Have to be reviewed with the union.
Yeah, we have to narrow it down to what we want to present to them. And our broker has narrowed it down to about half a dozen different plans to compare to the current one. Once we come up with a proposal, we'll schedule with the union to look at.
So we just study this and then we have to have another meeting and decide which one? As a board?
I think I got that today, yesterday.
So bottom line is the cost going up
Right.
considerably. So there's alternatives to look at to keep it comparable. And Gary and I are working on What's that?
What's the timeline? Is there, you have a deadline to?
Yeah, they need to have open enrollment the end of, what was it, beginning of July? Was it that we needed? July 1 open enrollment for August 1st, so we need to make that happen pretty soon with the, our choice and the union's approval.
So we have to decide
Yes.
which one we're going to propose.
Yep.
Solicit the unions, get their
Correct.
approval. So we have a pretty short amount of time.
And
Pretty
it
short
has to
timeline.
be within our estimates and our budget.
Yes. Right,
Well, there's only a couple plans here that meet that.
right. So I think it's the second one in there. It changes it a little bit. Basically what we have is a high deductible plan and the village funds the deductible. That's how we work it. That's how we have been working it. So in order to keep it down, we'd have to go with a higher, we'd have to fund a higher deductible than we do now. From $1,500, $3,000 up to $2,000, $4,000.
The reason we fund the deductible, that's the arrangement we have with the unions, is that?
Yeah, it's what was in place when the contract reads that it has to be comparable. So, my thought on that is if the out-of-pocket expense to the employee didn't change, then it would stay comparable, even if we had to pick up a bigger piece of cover a bigger deductible.
So it's gonna cost the village more money no matter what. Either a higher rate or a higher deductible.
But when you go with the higher deductible, like right now, there's a utilization about 80% of the deductible, and that's historically. So you could we could fund a higher deductible, but if some people if they only use what they use now, then it would cost us less. So
We take back what they don't use.
Right, but you take on more risk, obviously,
Right.
by funding more of it. But it could keep your projection lower.
It's out of the contract. And you said 80% of the deductible is used.
Correct. Yep. Yeah, that's included, it was included in there. It's been high 70s the last 3 years, and I think we're over 80 this year. So year to date. And Gary and I have been working on that. So the next thing, we already did the insurance. Next thing we got is the Dutchess County Shared Services contract. This is for the intermunicipal agreement that was with the zoning and planning software that was headed by Hyde Park. And we're included in it, so we need to execute an agreement to participate.
Right. Under the contract, Dutchess County has a grant that is going to pay for the first year, the setup and the maintenance, and then you would be responsible in the second year going forward for the maintenance, which I think is about $1,900. I forget the exact numbers.
And this standardizes the planning and zoning software.
And that helps us save money on our end to make up for this $1,900.
Well, that's in the following year. This is now going to standardize throughout the county, all of the planning, the zoning, the building departments. So the county is funding it for the first year for the implementation and the maintenance, and then going forward, you'll be responsible for the annual maintenance costs.
So that it just improves our operation performance. Yeah, they go with it. We'll have to buy a tablet so he has information.
It doesn't save us any money.
No, it's not a cost saving measure.
So it's almost like another mandate.
From the
Well,
county.
it's not.
No, you don't.
It's not a mandate.
No, you don't
But
have to
we
enter
s-
into it. I mean, this was something that apparently had been negotiated with 11 or 12.
We signed on to
municipalities.
this agreement a year ago, or maybe more.
Yeah, but I thought I was under the impression we were gonna be getting some computer hardware or whatever.
So it's a software.
Yeah, it's a software package, and you need to have, in order to interface with it, instead of, taking notes in the field. I don't know exactly how it works, but it'll have a tablet. That's right. Pat.
I have a tablet.
Yeah,
I just
that's-
got a tablet.
So we have the tablet. Yeah. I think we approved that a while back as well.
Yeah.
So I make a motion to enter into this agreement as proposed.
Second.
Any more discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Speaking of mandates, do you want to take a minute? Senator Gibson asked us, I'd like us to pass a resolution supporting the amendment to the state constitution that would prevent further unfunded mandates.
I'll second that. Any discussion?
You know, I have no idea what the political obstacles he's facing there. I'm
Basically, we're
assuming
just
they're considerable, but it seems like that
supporting
would be.
Yeah,
Is
what's
that-
that?
I said we're supporting him.
Yeah,
in
we're
his
just
effort.
voicing our support of, no more unfunded mandates.
Right. I think it's a strong, good statement to make.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right.
And I guess, Pat, if we can send some communication to Senator Gibson's office, letting him know that we did that.
That we are supporting him.
You'd have
How do
done
you
it
wanna
any. I'm sorry. No need for me to ask. I'm sorry.
Now, how do you want to word the motion?
Resolution supporting the amendment that has been presented by Senator Gibson. I forget the other lawmaker he mentioned.
Doesn't give a Senate bill number, you can just put that in.
Right.
Yeah.
It's an amendment to the state constitution.
So under correspondence, we already took care of the one on Mulberry Street. I have another one that came in on the 16th from Edward Cicerelli. It was forwarded, it came through the town, basically complaining about saxophone player.
He's gone.
He was there yesterday. No, he's there. The drummer's gone, I think.
No, I haven't seen him the last week.
So again, same thing as always, that we do not have a busking law, so he's okay to do what he's doing, correct? What's that?
Oh, no, he's just writing some notes to his zoning revisions here.
Okay,
No, you said we don't have a code that addresses that.
exactly.
I'm
So,
just putting that as my list of things that
And I mean,
potentially we should address.
yeah, I mean, all these people that have complained have been made aware of that. Other correspondence was a thank you from the American Legion, like I mentioned before, to Sergeant Dunn and the police department and the highway department for their efforts in contributing to the Memorial Day parade. Water and sewer adjustments?
Are we going to do on the agenda other business that comes later? Right?
Oh, no, we're over other business. What do you got?
Well, we had an audit, right, from the state labor department.
Yes.
And one of the things that came up was workplace violence prevention policy and incidents reporting.
Mm-hmm.
And we are supposed to do something here, like have a meeting with our insurance agent to teach our people
Yeah, we have not received our,
paper.
we have not received our, what do they call it, deficiency yet.
Okay, so we want to wait for that.
No, we're working on it. We have, Pat's working on, do we have the policy? Is it Pat?
They have to come and do the training.
The training. Well, we have we create the policy,
Yeah.
which we're gonna adopt. Is that it? Is it all ready to go?
Well, that's what I got. I don't know where it came from.
It may have come
That
in
came
through your
from-
insurance company.
Yeah, they gave it to us and we adapted it to our language.
So at some point we have to
Yeah.
approve this.
Has it been,
I haven't seen it.
No.
okay, let's distribute it, send it to Rich, and can you put that on the agenda for July? We may have to do it before then because I think we'll have 15 days once we get the deficiency letter.
Which we
Have you set the meeting for next month?
We have not. Yeah, so we may have to do it before that. Anything else on other business? Anybody?
Well, I just wanted to say, on the tree before, you had like, I think there's one here that that the commission recommends taking down one of these trees. At 41, I'm not trying to, but the board has to approve this, right?
That's how it's been done.
That's how we did it in the past, yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
So I think there was only one tree here that everybody agreed on at the meeting. The other ones being looked at.
Right.
Have they looked at the tree here, across the street? Do you know the one on the town hall property that broke?
I thought they came in and it was a limb. I think the tree was okay. That was my understanding.
Yeah.
Okay. So I guess there was some concern that the tree was bad. I wasn't sure if the commission had looked at it. Okay.
So it's the one tree there at
41.
41 million that the commission recommends that it be removed.
Okay. So I move that the board approves that we add a tree at 41 mil to our list of trees to be taken down.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Oh.
Aye. I was going to have a discussion. Is it
Oh,
added
okay.
to the
Sorry
list?
about that.
Is it added to the list, or it's actually now being
It's
approved to
added.
be taken down?
It's approved, and once it gets approved, it goes on the list.
Right.
And then there's 20 trees on the list.
No, I don't think there's
And
20.
then, unless, then it would be done in the order it came in, unless it's deemed to be an immediate risk.
Okay. So this just puts it on the list, and it could
Mhm.
be at the
It
bottom.
complies with the tree law that was adopted, so the board issues a permit that says, yes, it can be done. And then after that, it's a budgetary issue.
Right, okay.
Okay.
Aye.
So, before, go ahead, Hattie.
No, that's it.
Okay. So before we forget, we are going to reschedule the July meeting, and we're okay to do how many days notice we need? We'll be fine on the 22nd,
We
correct?
got plenty of time
Okay.
to notice it.
So on the normally scheduled day, I'm not available, Howie's not available, so we're gonna reschedule for 22 July at the same time, same place.
Next board meeting.
Yes.
So you're canceling the July 8th board meeting and scheduling the July meeting for the 22nd.
Correct. Do we have to,
I'll put a notice in.
Right. I mean, just the board,
You'll be back?
the board should just,
Okay.
pass the resolution
Okay.
after that, so
so
Be nice and tan, 18th is nice.
you're gonna be back?
No, Howie's gonna be back.
Yes.
Yeah, we're
So
all-
I'd
we're all gonna be back.
like to make a motion to make that proposed change from canceling the meeting on the 8th, rescheduling it for the 22nd.
Second.
Discussion?
Yeah, I may have to call the board together at some point by the end of June or early July to get approval for going out for bid.
Okay. Yeah, we'll probably have a couple things. We'll perhaps have an interim, like for the workplace violence, we're probably gonna have to adopt that before the 22nd of July. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, water and sewer adjustments, are we there now?
I do the worst first. Well, we have actually good news here. I got 17 new accounts.
Wow.
All right.
For mostly in the gardens, all of them in the gardens. So we had 17 new accounts who paid, except for one, $750 each. We have 5 new owners, for $25 each. And then we had some finals, 5 finals, 6 finals, different numbers around there. We forgave the wastewater department $378 on charges, but in other words, we don't charge the wastewater department water. We have one issue. We had one issue. We changed the meter out, and for some reason, it did not set the new meter to 0, and so the person got charged excessive amount of money. And we have zeroed that out at $447 actually. And that's all I have. But the gardens seem to be selling like hotcakes over there.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. You have just a few more left.
So that was just the water?
Just a little.
Do you have the sewer?
adjustments?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, okay.
I have,
Okay.
That has
sorry, 16 garden taps
So
for sewer, one new owner, one adjustment credit memo for $44.55. There was an incorrect previous reading, and a $22.16 final. That was all.
Is that a page after,
Page before.
page before?
Yours is first.
I didn't see it. Okay, sorry, thank you.
I'll make the motion to accept the adjustments as submitted.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. The vouchers, are they ready? They'll be ready tomorrow?
I think they'll be ready tomorrow. They weren't ready when
Okay. Anything else? Anybody? Anybody on our list from the public want to speak?
Not on the list, but if I may speak.
Come on up to the microphone.
Thank you for allowing me some time. I feel a little out of my element. I wasn't sure if I had to submit something ahead of time, but I thought I would just come and maybe at the end you would offer me the chance to speak.
Well, you're
My-
kind. In the future, you could make yourself known. We'd let you speak at the beginning.
Oh, okay, thanks. My name is Marie Trombini, and I own a parcel of land on Prospect Street here in the village. Several months ago, the Village Tree Commission planted a tree in a strip of private property. That strip of private property is in my deed to my property as part of my right-of-way. I have a storage shed at the end of my property, and since they put a tree there, I'm unable to consider putting in a crushed stone driveway from the street to my storage shed because they're blocking my access. I went to a Village Tree Commission meeting several months ago and asked that the tree be removed. First of all, because it was done with taxpayer dollars on a private strip of land, and second, because it blocked my right-of-way access to my shed. The tree is still there. My question is, what's going to be done with the tree?
Well, let me just ask, I'm new with the tree commission.
Mhm.
I was under the impression they never planted a tree without permission, that someone would have signed off, so I don't know, was there a mistake?
This
made?
happened about 2 years ago, not 2 months ago.
Several months,
Do you
yes.
remember this issue?
Not off the top of my head.
Really, it was about 2 years ago. So we have to go back and look at it, all this over again. It was planted on somebody else's, we thought it was in the right of way. The road is not a public road, right? That's what we determined.
I believe the road to be a public road, but someone owns the strip of grass that runs alongside of that road. And my deed grants me access to that strip of grass so that I can enter into my lot.
If
There was no discussion.
File of records, you're gonna have to let me.
Yeah, we gotta look this up. It was about 2 years ago, but there was no discussion of a driveway there. You weren't putting a driveway in at the time.
No, but I had intentions. No one ever asked me about the tree, or no one ever asked me anything. I just go there one day and there's a tree.
And I believe that
was
the
totally
people
unaware of
did,
it.
the people did pay for the tree themselves, the neighbors there.
So the property owner would have requested the tree. That's the only way you get a tree
Right.
from a tree commission, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a very complicated situation.
Okay.
We gotta go
Not
back
if it's
and
on
put
private
this all
land,
up.
it's-
But they're all on private land in the right of way. That's
well, if it's within the right of way, that's another issue. Yeah.
right.
Are we talking the same tree? You saying 7 months and people here saying...
About 2 years
No,
ago.
several months ago.
Several
Yeah.
months.
And several
Wow.
months,
So
yeah.
several months is more than 7 months.
The issue is that the street is not really a public road, I believe. I don't want to
Prospect
talk out
Street?
of turn. Yeah,
Somebody's,
The village
I'm
has
gonna
to-
I'm gonna take a look at it. I just
the village has a right to plow the road. This all came up after the tree was planted. We didn't plant a tree on somebody's private property without, we're just doing this on purpose.
How big is the tree then?
Oh, my God, it's huge.
Well, I mean, in caliber,
Oh,
not that big.
It's growing like a weed, yeah, it's huge.
Well, let's let Bruce research it and.
Yeah, we'll look at it. I'm
Go
just
back.
curious, have you spoken to your neighbors? Because, I mean, like we say, we wouldn't plant a tree unless we thought we had permission from the property owner.
This is where the tree is, this is where my shed is, dotted line. Tree. And,
This is your
because,
property?
yes, it is.
This is dead end.
Prospect, yeah, but why would, I
And
would think it'd be a village tree.
since at the time when I was at the Village Tree Commission meeting, there seemed to be some question as to whether or not I really had a deeded right of access to that land, I had a title search done, and this is my title search saying yes, I do have a legal right for access.
Well, the driveway, you'd have to go to the planning board, right? Because it's a second, it would be a second
I never
driveway.
even got a chance to do
Yeah, no,
that.
but I'm just saying that,
There's a tree dead
Yeah.
center there. I mean, it's not to the left, to the right, or anything, it's just,
Is this a copy I can keep, or?
yes.
okay. So Rich will look into it and get back to us.
Yeah, leave your contact information, please, and we'll, sorry.
Write that on there, maybe my contact information.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
I don't remember, it was 2 years ago. There was 2 lawyers involved with this thing. I don't. Who was the property owner?
Where the tree is?
Yes.
Well, she thinks she is.
No, it's a right of way across somebody else's property. So they take
Julia
it to-
Rosenbaum owns
Yeah.
the property. I have the deeded right of access. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks. So I'd like to make a motion to go into executive session for a client-attorney consultation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
No, there was a new one. 'Cause it just came in.
We're good? I'd like to make a motion to resume the general session.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Anybody got anything?
Motion to adjourn.
Make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.